Hi, I'm Lisa Bagshaw, and welcome to Bold Leaps, the show that interviews creative, inspiring, successful people about the risks they've taken to pursue their dreams. And today's guest is old world, craftsmanship-inspired jeweler, Malcolm Norman of Bloodline Design. As a young boy, Malcolm always had a creative mind. He would rather gaze out the window than study, but he was good with his hands. At 13, he was tying salmon flies for a major fishing and tackle store in the Maritimes and getting paid for it. He was also an entrepreneur from a young age. In grade 11, he opened a surfboard store, and in grade 12, he had 2 surf skate shops. But it was ultimately design he was drawn to, particularly for skateboards. And in that field, he experienced a high level of success. And then he met someone who would change the trajectory of his life forever. It was a chance encounter which led to a random meeting with a master caster where Malcolm fell in love with his life and business partner Andrea at first sight and found his true passion, making jewelry out of silver. What unfolds after this is something out of the movies. It was a meteoric rise with high-end stores in Vancouver picking up his jewelry, and then New York, Paris, London, all top Hollywood celebrities, Mariah, Jay-Z, Halle Berry, Kid Rock, and Ryan Reynolds, all wanted customized pieces. And stylists from the movie business clamored for his products. All the while, Malcolm was working away in their 1-bedroom apartment on 14th and Granville, the kitchen table as his workbench, while Andrea birthed 1 baby and then triplets.
What else?
Can you believe this is your life? Welcome to the show, Malcolm.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for inviting us into your incredible store.
Thanks.
I have been a fan of yours and a big client for, we were just talking about it, probably 15 years.
15 plus, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you find somebody who's wearing Bloodline Design in Vancouver, you always say, oh, that's Bloodline.
Yeah.
But a lot of people haven't heard of you in Vancouver, but you're really internationally known.
Yeah. Yeah, cult following in Vancouver for sure.
Yeah.
And probably better known in other cities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's start at the beginning here. How did you go from being a skateboard designer to a jeweler?
I'd always had a passion for metalwork.
Okay.
Yeah, vintage, antique, and it was more, I think, like the craftsmanship that it took to do it. The transition from the surf skate world and design into jewelry was when I'd met Andrea. She bought me some rings, and they didn't fit, so I had to go to the jeweler to get them resized. And when I entered his studio, he had a great studio, all these fantastic tools, and it just resonated with me big time. And I was looking to get out of what I was doing, and the love and my attraction for jewelry just suddenly made sense. So I quit my job, sought an apprenticeship, and it was with the master caster in Vancouver. I had a bench there, and that's where all of the local jewelers and carvers would bring their items. So I would get to rub elbows with everybody, learn from all the great carvers. Bill Reed would bring his items there, so I would get to see some of his stuff and learn some of his techniques. And when I wasn't there, I was at the apartment carving and learning and self-teaching. And that was the start of it.
It's fascinating to me that it was this chance encounter, you going into to get your rings resized.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you say you really resonated with sort of the process, was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was definitely the process. And I think it was the small environment where so much could be created and done. And that's, I started young, as you'd mentioned, making money with my hands, and I knew that that was possible. And I was just coming out of a world where I was doing design and marketing on a really big scale. And I'd kind of really burnt out with that. So I just went, man, this is exactly what I want to do. It just felt right. And I looked and understood the jewelry and how it was being made. I completely understood it. And I knew how to do marketing. So I just said, man, this is it. And if that hadn't happened, really, I don't know. It probably would have been quite a while before I found out what I was going to do. But that definitely was what spoke to me, was just that smaller environment, the tools, the ability to create beautiful things that I could spread out into the world from such a small space.
And that's so interesting that you hadn't known that before you walked in and actually saw it.
Yeah, true. No, I knew that I loved it. I knew I appreciated the depth of the craft and the skills it took to do it. And that was the first jewelry studio I'd ever been in. So it just made sense right away. Yeah.
That's incredible. And then you were self-taught and you did an apprenticeship, but then you started working from your one-bedroom apartment on 14th and Granville.
Yeah, I had a little bench where I would do setup and everything for the caster, and then at night I would do my carving and create the collections. And it didn't take long. We had a really small first collection, and we went out to Vancouver stores with it. It was about 5 rings and 5 necklaces and some bracelets. And yeah, it had traction right away. It was Leone's booked right away, Hill's booked right away, Chachka's, which is an old legendary. They had 2 stores on Robson, Cesa, another great boutique store in Gastown. And then quickly following that, we had a little bit of revenue, so we could do sample lines and send them out. And we got signed in New York by the biggest jewelry showroom at the time. And then it just really took off. After the first market week, we were so busy. We were hiring, and at one point we had 8 people working in our basement in the studio of the house. So it was, it happened pretty fast.
Well, how did you feel when you got that first, say, Leone's? How did you feel when you got that? Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, the future seemed possible. It was like, what we've believed in is actually happening. It was, incredible for a store like Leone that's carrying, Gucci, Prada, LV, all the big brands, to go, we're going to put your product right here beside Gucci. So
and you were an unknown.
Completely unknown. Yeah.
Were you scared?
No, I think really just fired up.
Fired up.
Yeah, we're going to get going even more. Although we were working probably more than 12 hours a day, but we just kept going.
This is such an incredible story. Well, we have to take a break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask Malcolm how he and Andrea and their now 4 young boys coped with this meteoric rise in fame and production demands. Stay with us. Welcome back to Bold Leaps. So Malcolm, we're just talking about how you got into the New York showroom and things went pretty rapidly after that. First of all, how do you get into a New York showroom, and how do you get into it?
Then, a lot different from now, we sent down a lookbook. They requested some samples and we fired those down. And then they requested a full sample line for the next market week. So we had very little time, cranked that out. And then I flew it down, crashed on a buddy's floor in New York, and the orders started coming in.
You did you designed a collection specifically?
Yeah, it was all sterling garnet, very core Bloodline, very classic. It was an honest start to the brand for sure. And lots of Soho boutiques booked, Nordstrom booked that one, Barney's booked that one. Quite a few I don't remember, but yeah, it was a good first start in New York.
I would say so.
Yeah.
And would you say that it was like you were prepared for this kind of demand?
Yeah, no, that was one where that kind of blinded us. When the orders came in, it's, 500 units of this, 800 units of that. So that one with, delivery timelines and, you've got to buy all your silver and staff up and make those deadlines because you get penalized if you're not making or you don't get paid. So it was that one, that was the first big lean on us for actually getting it together and making the deliveries. So that was a lot of long hours.
And at that point, did you feel that you had bitten off more than you can chew, or?
Yeah, at that point, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, in that window of a month and a half, it was incredibly taxing, but yeah, we did it. And then we were more prepared for, the next few years of wholesale and doing that magnitude of production. Mm-hmm. And we managed to keep it all with our team. We didn't have to shop anything out. It was all still made by the hands that we trained. So all the quality was there. And yeah, it was hard, but it was fun. It was a good challenge, yeah.
Because it's amazing to me, you had pretty much done the apprentice course, and then it was within 6 months that you were in the top stores in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Within a year, you were in the New York showroom.
Yeah.
Really getting traction in the States, and you had a baby. And where were you? You said you moved to the house?
Yeah, we moved to the house from the one-bedroom apartment just pre-triplets. So, and then the whole basement of the house became production and half the middle floor too.
And I've been to that house because I've been to the sample sales. That is a very small house.
Yeah, yeah. That's the neat thing about jewelry is you don't need a ton of space in order to produce. But we were swelling at the seams. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how did you cope with the stress of all of that?
Red wine was good. Youthful energy and just, it was exciting, and there was money coming in. So everything made sense. And we had, a fairly extensive staff, and it was just our obligation to them and keeping things moving. Because things never stopped. It was like we're in production. I still had to continue to design, do the models, and get the lookbooks done and go out and continue to grow on the sales front as well. So, it was just this snowballing, continuous momentum that we just had to pour energy into to keep it going. But it was, I'm glad I was young. I don't think I could do it now.
And this is in your house, and at this point you have your eldest son, and you have triplets.
Yeah, yeah.
As well as these massive production demands.
Yeah, yeah. They became quite a bit. The brand started to grow, kind of get out of control. I started to get requests to do designs for private label. So Betsy Johnson, Quicksilver, Felissimo Japan, quite a number of other design, Disney. And that was coming through the showrooms because at that point we had showroom in Paris, New York, Toronto, and Los Angeles. And so each sales group would come to us with these sort of more demands. And I was traveling just way too much. Like I was always away. So, and that wasn't our vision of a family at all. So, and the brand was kind of getting away from us. We weren't staying true to our core. So we pulled out of all the showrooms, really downsized, stuck with some main boutiques, and then just focused on our family and just being around and enjoying that, which was awesome. Great decision.
So you pulled your product from?
Yeah, we pulled the contracts and removed all product from all sales teams, and just managed what we could from where we were and brought the brand closer to where we could control its direction, and had fun with the boys and it was good.
So you decided to focus more on family at that point than on the business. Were you worried about money coming in or worried about losing momentum for your brand?
Yeah, there was, in the middle of all of our rise, we'd had a big bump where a major account had gone bankrupt, and that really hurt us. And so we'd had a real low there and rebuilt. And so we'd experienced being able to survive with, not needing a constant flow of major revenue. We had enough and we were managing it. And almost at any time we could plug in other outlets. And so we made enough to be happy and to have a life and to continue to develop the brand the way that we wanted to see it happen. And so that has paid off. I mean, we learned to be very true to who we are and what our belief is in what we do as a brand. And so we're fortunate we got back on track, and because we could have lost quite a few more years just trapped in that cyclone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's been, since then, the boys have grown and all involved in the company. And we got two of the triplets, Broden and Dace, are in production, very integral, and in design as well, in some of the model making. So they're really working their way into that. And then Cale is in the digital and store management aspect. So he does a lot of our photography and digital asset management. And yeah, it's fun. They're enjoying themselves, and we still get along as a family, so that's good.
Yeah, they still want to hang out with you.
Yeah, we still get along. It's good.
So in this, you're really sort of downplaying it, but in this meteoric rise of the brand of Bloodline, things got kind of out of control, and then you pulled back and focused on the family. At what point did you know that you would be okay?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we just knew it's what we had to do. I think that really what has always supported us is the bounce back we get from customers, is that our brand is meaningful to people. It's usually when we have a Bloodline, someone's introduced to Bloodline, they become a customer for life. And we stay within that fold, doing birthing gifts, graduation gifts, birthday, graduation, RIP, we've learned that how people see the value of Bloodline. So that's always given us a backbone and confidence to, I think, grow the way we want to grow, knowing that support's going to be there. That's probably at the center of how we feel, in confidence kind of thing.
I think that's wonderful, and you can rely on that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think so, yeah.
We have to take a break, but stay with us because I'm going to ask Malcolm about how life is now with 4 grown sons and a new brick and mortar store, and what advice he has for those of us too afraid to pursue our dreams when we come back. Welcome back to Bold Leaps. So we're sitting here in your absolutely gorgeous store.
Thank you.
On West 4th in Vancouver. Why a store?
It came a time, with online, we'd spent a couple of years building the online presence and relied on that as a business model for a little bit, and found that we really weren't connected at all with our customer. We weren't getting direct feedback, and we just really wanted to have an experience for people to come in and see and feel Bloodline, also knowing that it would support online sales, just to have that brick and mortar for confidence, purchase confidence. But I think the inspiration at its nucleus was that we're not seeing our people anymore, and we really need them to come and experience Bloodline. And we run a couple of pop-ups as tests on West 4th in Vancouver. They were great. We ran them for a month. Response was amazing. Numbers were good. We had fun. So yeah, the time had just come to do it. So we bit the bullet and did it.
Another huge leap.
Yeah.
I would say you are such a big leap taker, you and Andrea. Whenever I come into this store, I always have the sense that there's a buzz and that the business is constantly growing. And seemed like you sort of took a little sort of a break.
Yeah.
But now it feels like the business is ramping up again. Is there anything that you would do differently in this ramp up versus the last ramp up?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we are. I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, in 30 years, there's so many different ways to grow your business now. For us, because we are, product permanent value, more heirloom, patience is key. You know, if we look at something we think it's going to be a growth opportunity, we definitely analyze it way more than we used to. Take our time, look at data, and make sure that it's the right move for growth. Because nowadays it takes a year for something to get rolling. So you take a year of planning, a year to put it in motion. It's 2 years before something's actually happening. So we're being more patient now. Yeah.
That's interesting. We only have time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is the biggest lesson you have learned in all of this?
I think that if we hadn't have done it, it wouldn't have happened. So you just have to do it. You know, fear gives you energy. Failure teaches you, and you can't have either of those. You can't experience either of those without going for it. It's part of the parcel. I think understand that you're not going to succeed all the time, every time. But every time you fail, it's actually making you better. And you'll know, any individual will know when they find their thing that they really want to do, that really speaks to them, and it takes time to find it sometimes. But when you get it, don't be afraid. Go for it, for sure.
And what about the fear? How would you say you overcome the fear?
I think just getting up in the morning and doing it, knowing that you'll get small indicators that was a success, and you really have to feed on that. And keep people in your tribe that believe in you. Lots of people don't want you to succeed. Keep those people close that feel you're a winner and you can do it, and feed off of that.
Well, that's excellent advice. Thank you so much for allowing us to come in and hear your bold leaps stories. Yeah. Thank you for creating all this beautiful jewelry.
It looks so good on you.
That makes us all look so, I don't know what we
regal,
look.
gallant.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just love that. So thank you so much for being here and being
Thanks
part
for
of this.
having me.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
That's it for another episode of Bold Leaps. Check us out on YouTube and social media for more inspiring episodes and updates. Tell us your bold leaps in the comments. Special thanks to Fresh Street Market, and remember, every step you take is a step toward your dreams.
Was it?
Great job! Wow, what a story.